Hello everyone, Advocate of Pants here with the first of the Commander deck tech videos of mine. This first one is Eldrazi Tribal, colorless entirely, and it is led by Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. So, first up, a little bit about the Commander himself. Kozilek is one of three Eldrazi Titans from the Rise of the Eldrazi expansion. Emrakul and Ulamog are the other two. Emrakul is banned in the Commander format, so I use Ulamog in the deck, and Kozilek leads them into battle. So, first off, 10 mana for a 12/12 that when you cast him, draw 4 cards. Annihilator 4, so that means when he attacks the defending player, the person being attacked, sacrifices 4 permanents. So that can be dangerous, and especially so if you're able to get him out early. 4 permanents, that's a lot. That's usually a creature base or a good portion of your land base or something like that. And it could cripple someone pretty quick. Emrakul actually has Annihilator 6, so yeah, think of that. And anyway, Kozilek's last effect is when he goes to the graveyard from anywhere. Yeah. So that's from the battlefield or from your hand or something. He shuffles right back into your deck. Of course, you could also opt to just put him back in the command zone. So, that's Kozilek. So naturally, this is a very mana-intensive deck. So the idea is you want to build up your mana using various artifacts that accelerate your mana, such as Soul Ring or Basalt Monolith, things like that. And then just cast your Eldrazi, or sneak them in through other methods, such as Quicksilver Amulet. So, with that out of the way, it's time to get into the deck list. Alright, so the creatures in the deck, I used 21 of them. Artisan of Kozilek, Bane of Bala Ged, Deathless Behemoth, Deceiver of Form, Eldrazi Devastator, Eldrazi Mimic, Endbringer, Endless One, Hand of Emrakul, It That Betrays, and Kozilek, the Great Distortion, Kozilek's Channeler and Pathfinder, Oblivion Sower, Reality Smasher, Not Seer, Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, Ulamog's Crusher, Void Winnower, Walker of the Waste, Warden of Geometries. Next up, we have the instants and sorceries, only 5. 4 instants, not of this world, Scour from Existence, Spatial Contortion, Warping Wail, and the 1 sorcery, Gruesome Slaughter. Next up, bunch of artifacts, 30 of them. Basalt Monolith, Cranial Archive, Crystal Ball, Decimator Web, Dreamstone Hedron, Hedron Archive, Icy Manipulator, Mimic That, Mind Stone, Quicksilver Amulet, Seer's Lantern. Most of these are for mana, as you may expect. The rest of the artifacts, Seer Sundial, Sisay's Ring, Hot Vessel, Soul Ring, Spellbook, versus Incubator, Born Power Stone, Basalt's Color, Blade of Selves, Chitinous Cloak, Dragon Throne of Tarkir. Now we're getting into some of our equipments. Ghostfire Blade, Gorgon Flail, Loxodon Warhammer, Rogue's Gloves, Whisper Silk Cloak, Hedron Crawler, Pilgrim's Eye, and Scuttling Doom Engine. To round out the deck, we have 43 lands, so 26 Waste, Blasted Landscape, Command Beacon, Darksteel Citadel, Eldrazi Temple, Rogue's Passage, Ruins of Warden Reef, Sanctum of Lucan, Seagate Wreckage, Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, Spawning Bed, Tectonic Edge, Temple of the False God, Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, Urza's Tower, Evolving Wilds, and Terramorphic Expanse. So yeah, a lot of the artifacts are either mana acceleration or equipment, and from there it's just a matter. Some of your Eldrazi come down early, so you have equipment to help them out, and then you can just ramp into your more expensive Eldrazi creatures and go from there. So with everything being said, now let's talk about some key cards within the deck. So you have your commander, but from there, Kozilek, the Great Distortion, and Ulamog the Infinite Gyre, those being the other two I run in the deck. And both of them, plus Butcher of Truth, Kozilek, they have abilities that happen when you cast them. And all of them are pretty nice. Ulamog destroys a permanent on being cast. And of course, Great Distortion can refill your hand. So that's quite nice. And of course, Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, when cast, draw 4 cards. That's not bad. Next on the list is Urza's Incubator. This helps you get your Eldrazi down a little earlier than you should probably be able to. With any kind of tribal deck, more so ones like this, where a lot of your creature base is just really expensive, it's a good card to have. So that's why I included it in here. This is just one deck that called for it. From here, we've got a handful of Eldrazi creatures that are pretty threatening. Bane of Bala Ged, pretty nice on offense, and actually, when he attacks, defending player exiles, or you exile 2 things your opponent controls, so kind of a pseudo-annihilator. Deceiver of Form. Its ability turns all your creatures into whichever creature you reveal off the top of your library. That can be bad news depending on what you reveal. Bad news for your opponent, primarily. Next up, it the Betrays. This thing has Annihilator, has some pretty beefy stats, and with that Annihilator, it has an ability. Its effect steals anything your opponents sacrifice. Any non-token permanents that your opponents sacrifice, whether it's to Annihilator of any Eldrazi or just something else. Ouch. Artisan of Kozilek. A non-legendary Eldrazi with a cast trigger. Cast Artisan and you resurrect any creature from your graveyard. So, for extra pressure, cast Artisan of Kozilek and then bring back something with Annihilator. Pretty nice. Next up, Walker of the Wastes. It's a 4/4 with trample, which is good on its own, considering the amount of the number of wastes. The deck's only basic land type. Yeah. Have 5 wastes on the field when you cast it. That's already a 9/9 for 5. That thing will die if your opponents are able to kill it. Next up, Void Winnower. It allows you to really shut down control decks. Your opponents can't cast things with even converted mana costs, and creatures with even power and toughness can't attack? Yeah. So pretty awkward there. Next up, Gruesome Slaughter. The 1 sorcery in the deck. One of your creatures fights one of your opponent's creatures, which basically means suddenly all of your Eldrazi or non-Eldrazi Eldrazi, whatever creatures you happen to have, they all become removal. Quite nice. Clear the board, attack with whatever you're able to. Not bad. Quicksilver Amulet. One of the artifacts in this deck. Yeah, if you can't cast the Eldrazi, use the Amulet. End of someone else's turn, activate the Amulet, drop an Eldrazi. Pretty nice. Next up, Blade of Selves. The equipped creature gets the Myriad ability. Now, here's where things get evil. Put this on an Int that betrays, or Bane of Bala Ged, and suddenly you turn yourself into a bit of a threat. Assuming that's allowed to actually happen. Most people will not let that resolve. But if you can make it happen, nuke deployed, Eldrazi style. Next one is another equipment, Dragon Throne of Tarkir. So the equipped creature gains Defender, but the added ability, use the equipped creature to make the rest of your army huge? Not bad. Especially if you considering the Eldrazi are usually like 5 power and above. So that's pretty nifty. Last on the list is Mimic that. Non-equipment, but it's still here for utility purposes. So, the way Mimic that works is you bring it in. When something dies, it gets exiled onto the Mimic Bat, and then you can make a token copy. Just make a copy of It That Betrays, or Void Winnower, or something every turn. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nice. And everyone loves the Mimic Bat. It's just so powerful. So, that is Eldrazi Tribal, led by Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, with Oath of the Gatewatch giving us a colorless basic land, finally, and adding all sorts of different kinds of Eldrazi. And, yeah, Eldrazi decks just become so easy to make, and colorless decks were always popular, but without having a basic land of their own, they were hard to make. Not anymore, and yeah, I went pretty much the expected route that a lot of other people took, and went full Eldrazi. And so this is my take on the Eldrazi Tribal deck, and it's just one way of building that particular archetype. So from there, you of course have your colored Eldrazi, and you have your devoid Eldrazi cards, and a lot of other stuff that work with them. So, yeah, just give me some feedback on what you think, and hope you enjoyed this. And until next time, take care, guys.